to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Hey, Wednesday night. You know what that means. Mark Order Podcast. I'm going to tell all these guys to speak bitch all night. My God, episode 250 of AEW Dynamite. Thank you guys so much for joining us in the chat. Hi, Taylor. What's up, Big G? How we doing? I'm joined by the fellas as always. We had quite the episode of Dynamite, quite the opening match to that episode of Dynamite. And kind of a real up and down rest of the show, I want to say, but we're going to get into all of that in a little bit. We're going to talk about some other bullshit, and this is probably going to be a shorter episode because half of this episode was cannibalized by one match. Those tend to make for shorter Mark Order episodes, but that gives us a little more time to say hi to the fellas. I'm going to start with Joe because he's nicer.
It's true.
How are you, Joe?
I'm doing well. I'm just, I'm preparing for a friend's wedding reception Friday.
Ooh, how are you preparing? You're a groomsman?
I am not.
You're not?
No, they got married like at a courthouse, so now they're just having a party.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that's awesome for you. Is this the one where you transformed into Joey Vegas?
Correct.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. If you guys didn't see the pictures, you got to follow Joe on social media because my God, in wrestling when everyone says like I had to go to a different place to like access whatever, Joey Vegas was like your other place, and it wasn't the darkness within you, it was just like the Vegas within you, and it was incredible. It was a sight to behold. But
you just kind of feel the vibe out, right? So
yeah, exactly. So when you say prepare for a wedding reception, are you like, are you scouting babes there? Are you getting your drinking tolerance up? Like, what are you
a lot of
considering fits?
It's a lot of mental reps as far as, what I want to wear, how much I want to drink, the pacing of the drinking, how much dancing, what dancing do I want to do, what dancing don't I want to do? It's all those things you have to consider.
It's true. It's true. That's a very, very fair point. Are you in or out on the group dances? Because here's what I've learned about the group dances. A lot of people complain about them, but then they join the dance floor because it's like, if I can nail these 5 to 6 moves for 3.5 minutes, I'm an all-star at this.
Well, yeah, and then some of those dances they literally tell you how to do it. Like,
yeah. So you're a cha-cha slide guy.
Cha-cha slide. No. Cupid
no,
shuffle.
Not a cha-cha slide.
I'll do a Cupid shuffle. I'm not opposed to the wobble.
Not opposed to a wobble. Okay.
No.
I feel like the chicken dance is gone. That's in the rear view.
Chicken dance. That's a slide.
Ryan's mic is now very sensitive, which is amazing.
You can hear that?
Everything.
You heard me clap?
We heard like the tussle of your t-shirt just then. It was amazing.
But you can hear me clap?
Yeah, when you were there, when you were like above it, we couldn't hear it.
That's weird because it's the same microphone.
It's very sensitive directionally. There might be a setting on that.
I'm not worrying about my settings.
Well, I'm excited for this wedding reception, Joe.
Yeah, it should be good. And then other than that, book travel for Los Angeles in November. So yeah.
Hell yeah. We're going to be talking Capital Collision travel soon enough. I'm very excited. Very excited to see some live wrestling with the two of you fellas. Some nice seats for a low price is what New Japan and America will give you. I'll tell you that much. But G1 season around the corner. An exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And also Ryan's here. So let's get into this episode of Dynamite. Ryan, sincerely though, you are in a different part of your studies now where you don't have weekly class assignments. So you have some freedom in your life, some newfound freedom. God bless. Did you feel like a free man watching this episode of Dynamite because you didn't have like assignments to worry about tomorrow?
Yeah, it's not like my life has gotten less busy. It's just targeted differently now. Like I still have so much work to do, but I don't have to worry that if I take off from 8 to 10 that I'm going to
Right.
suffer for it. I am right now currently annoyed, and I saw Matt from the Shining Wizards was annoyed about it on Monday, that Twitter now requires you to be a premium account to stream on there.
Ours was still doing it though, which is weird.
Well, I'm getting told no. So
Okay, so this is the first week it went to
yeah,
effect for our thing.
because that's when it happened, and I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. He claims that he wants to make Twitter the platform, and it's like, well, every other platform lets you stream for free.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
So why will people pay? Like, and more people are gonna like they'll just stick to YouTube. You're not gonna be the platform.
No, nobody's
Um,
making enough off of those views
No,
to bother to stream on it. So that is annoying. Uh,
very.
good to know. That's very stupid. But so is most of the experience of being on Twitter. So there you go. What are we gonna do about it? Well, we're gonna talk about wrestling tonight, but how's everything else, Ryan? How are things in your world?
Things are good, lovely, grand. It's too hot out.
It's too fucking hot out, Ryan. It's disgusting. Now it's literally storming as we speak, which is great because hopefully
I
some of the
hear
humidity
ya.
will be gone. But my goodness, my parents' power went out earlier. My building, not notorious for great internet and electricity situations anyway. And my leak is holding up so far in my ceiling. But because they have to do the roof repairs before they do the internal repairs, it's
Put a bucket
it's
under it.
just a waiting game. It's just a waiting game. There is a
Just put a
bucket
bucket
under
under
it. I feel like I should get to campaign for a new carpet because there's definitely a mildewy spot from last time before I caught it.
Haven't put in those the like the fake wood floors.
I mean, that I would prefer that to carpet for a lot of reasons. For no
Yes.
other reason that I'd rather sweep up Daphne's hair than vacuum enough from here on a regular basis. But
So much nicer to
my
have those.
goodness, but yeah, it is. It's oppressively hot. It's supposed to get better, but I am mad only at myself for not having gone to the beach. Very upset.
See, I'm not mad at myself for that because I hate the beach. What I'm mad at myself is understanding that air conditioning struggles on a day like today.
It just can't keep up. It's insane.
No,
I have no idea how.
just can't keep up.
Kind of glad that we have one match that was an hour of this episode because I have been like a sluggish little baby all day. But I'm very excited because I made a big purchase today. It's not that big of a purchase.
What did you I was going to ask how you were doing, but now we're right into it. What did you purchase?
Well, I'm doing quite well, and here's why. I found I'm too addicted to Facebook Marketplace. I went way too far a couple years ago where I was like, I'm not kidding. There was a point where I had a golf ball monogrammer because I just thought that was cool. Like it was too much. I was like, for $5, I think that monograms golf balls. And then like this was when I still had my own business and I was doing events, and I was like, that's actually kind of cool. Like if you could if you're gonna do dumb stuff with NFL agents, like that's a cool takeaway or whatever. But like that's also classic ADD of like, let me get this in case I want to use it someday. So went way too far. Got rid of a bunch of stuff, but occasionally you get fines, and I'm still on Facebook Marketplace for those. I got a brand new standing desk that is the exact size I want and the exact color I want and everything, for like $60. And I was so excited about it. And I have a sedan. So I was like, I don't think I can pick this up. It's still in box because it's brand new, which is amazing. And I was like, I still don't think I can fit it in my car. And the guy was like, oh, I drive by your area anyway. And because I live in a quadplex, I'm okay with giving my address out because I am okay with them not knowing which unit I live in. So I was like, great, you can meet me at this combined address that I have on the front porch. And then it was obviously a downpour. So this poor guy who like offered to do this nice thing, getting absolutely punished, but it went quick. So that was good. And I'm very excited to set it up because I am full-time job looking, and I was like, I cannot sit this long if I do this much. If I have a full-time job, I watch wrestling and then I podcast about wrestling. That's so much sitting down. And I used to have a standing desk and it made a really big difference. And the desk I have now is falling apart anyway. So I was like, I'm gonna look. I was looking on Amazon Prime because it's Prime days. And then I found this one on the marketplace. And I was like, this is exactly what I want for like a third of the price. Happy gal.
I just want to point out that you're like, this full-time job plus watching wrestling and then podcasting is just too much sitting. And that's literally just, you can take out the podcasting or whatever. I still sit all evening. You're just describing my life as if it's bad.
Well, you're probably sitting too much. You should probably be standing more often than you are, Ryan.
No, standing's for suckers.
No, it's good. It's
Got
good.
him in a chairs for a
It
reason.
prevents the blood clots in your legs if you stand.
Eh.
Got to be careful of the blood clots.
We're compressing.
Everybody stop.
Elaborate and listen. I suspect with a brand new edition.
Nobody needs to stop right now more than Ryan. But Jesse Ozog is here. Hi, Jesse Ozog.
Yes.
See, Jesse has a standing desk and never remembers to use it.
That's probably why people sell them.
So this one is motorized. So that's cool. Like you just press a little button and it'll rise and sit. When I had
Motorhead?
one that was like one of
Tabletop.
those like tabletop ones, yeah, that's easy to not use because it takes work to do. So Jesse
All right,
said his is
I'm
too, so.
gonna have a confession here. The real reason I don't need a standing desk is because whenever I get stuck on a problem, like I need to write something, I'm doing something for work, and I need to think it out, I just pace.
Oh my God, you're like in A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise and his bat.
Yes, and legitimately something's in my hand, and I just walk around and I think it through in my head.
Well, that's great for you.
I don't do it intentionally.
Well, you should do it somewhat intentionally because it is.
No, I just next thing I know, I'm up. I'm like, oh great, I'm walking again.
Well, I also having a dog is good too because it makes you get out of your house 3 to 4 times a day. That was something when Buster passed away before I got Daphne. I was like, I don't leave the house enough anymore. Like it was something I was very cognizant of. But most importantly, Jesse Ozog. Hi.
So when are you going to build this desk or put it together?
So I have to see how complicated it is, but I'm pretty sure it's just 4 screws. So I'm hoping to get it done before the weekend. I would like to get it done before my SmackDown podcast on Friday. So that next time I'm like on Fightful with a really big audience instead of our wonderfully kind and small but loyal audience, I'm like good to go. So that's my hope. But I also keep being like, most everything's painted, but they're still going to do all this work. So I'm going to see like how much it takes to disassemble the current desk and go from there. Cause I don't want to assemble a brand new desk and then have them come and make a mess of my office and stuff. So trying to pace it out, but my goal is by Friday to have the new desk up and running and have my new setup that was gifted to me a while ago by the company Beacon, which is cool. It's the first like, I don't have to do like any dumb influencer codes or anything like that, but it's the first promotional like thing that I've gotten from podcasting. So I'm excited about that. But I see Jesse and I'm wondering if Jesse is going to go to Excite this weekend or if Jesse's going to go in August to Speedy Fest and if he's going to feast his eyes on Dijak because I'm very excited about that personally. But yeah, I'm very excited about the way my office is coming together. I just wish it wasn't going at a glacial pace. But it goes the way it goes.
Joe, you asked when she's going to have the desk built, but you missed an important part of Kate's early speech. Her ADHD.
Right.
She wants it built.
That ain't the problem because I'm fucking hyper fixated on getting this shit together. Now that it's
right
painted,
now she's hyper fixated. But tomorrow is tomorrow.
Have some faith, Ryan. Jeez.
No,
Kate
stuff
takes
like
shots at
that
me all the
isn't
time.
the issue. Stuff like that's not the issue. Because that's like only a couple of steps and it's something I really, really, really want to do. It's stuff that I medium or don't want to do at all. And plus, like, it actually, so much of my apartment is in disarray that like the object permanent stuff is really rough. of like, I'll forget about it if it's in a different room, but I can't forget about it because my apartment is turned upside down right now and everything is like so discombobulated. But I just it's more like the mental health game with it is like, I don't want to get everything set up for them to have to come in and do a bunch of repairs, but where I would set it up is on the opposite side of the room anyway. So I think I'll be good, but I'm excited. It's been like a year, so I'm fucking excited.
It's actually been like 3 years.
I mean, yes, but like there was a while where I was at least in this room functioning, and then my internet went to shit, and it took them forever to figure out. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped. But I was also pumped for this episode of AEW Dynamite.
Are you pumped for this?
Hell yeah. That rules. He's a good dude.
Jack in Edmonton.
He's going to do some good shit on the indies. I'm really excited for him. I'm also just like, I love how much it feels like everybody has bloated rosters and yet not enough people are signed everywhere, which is kind of like a cool thing to have in wrestling. Like, Dijak should be signed to AEW, but like he also can't because they're so loaded. They might sign him. He might be one of the temple ROH talents that it sounds like is coming in, but it feels like Mustafa Ali is signed to TNA of all places. Like it's so cool to me that the scene is like so cooking that the independents are now like getting the uplift from it and have for a little bit now. That's awesome. I love that for the independents. Sad personally, Dijak's not in the G1 because his 6'8" ass over there doing crazy shit would be really fun, but we'll see. I love that you get to see Dijak in Edmonton. That rules. He's gonna go on like an all-timer indie run, I think. I think he's the next one up. Next one up for that, but we're gonna get into some AEW Dynamite, which I'm excited for. Kind of an up and down episode. Obviously, the front half of it was one match, so we're going to get into all that. But before we do, there was this rights renewals talk that we had on the burner last week, and Ryan pointed out that if we sell 5.4 million shirts, we will give you AEW Dynamite for free on Mark Order YouTube. And like they had 250 episodes. Well, we can start like, let's say it takes till episode 270. Like, boom, Mark Order podcast right now is at 171. Like, we'll make it work. You're gonna be able to find it so easily, free to you. But if you want to contribute to the cause of these 5.4 million shirts, I'm sure getting so close. You can go over to prowrestlingtees.com and you can pick out any one of these 4 lovely designs. We appreciate those of you that have bought a shirt. We appreciate Joe, who before he was on this accidentally bought, maybe intentionally bought, but it was accidental that we had the gray chase version of our shirts. Maybe we'll make that intentional someday because everybody seemed to really like it. But yeah, we have these designs. The 2 on the right have a front and back to them. I'm a big pocket square size logo gal myself. Big fan of that one. But we always appreciate any support you want to give us. They're always running sales over there. So if you're picking up some wrestling t-shirts, please add us to your order. Beat those shipping charges or just go over and buy all 4 designs. Because if you buy 4 designs, we're closer to that 5.4 million t-shirt goal of being able to give away AEW Dynamite for free here on Mark Order YouTube. So we appreciate that so much. Also ask you guys to leave a thumbs up on this video. It helps people find us in the algorithm, which is very, very appreciated. And in the spirit of self-promotion, Shining Wizards have their 700th episode coming up, which is absolutely fucking bonkers to me. Absolutely, absolutely wild. We are a part of the Shining Wizards Network. The Shining Wizards, the flagship show on Mondays, always has fantastic interviews that you can check out. But we're going to take a minute to tell you more about all of the other shows on the Shining Wizards Network.
Every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the squared circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
If you like your music heavy, then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway!
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
Or playing in punk bands.
Or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums,
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at Mark Order Pod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rowe.
I'm Al Day.
and we're a couple of down-under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves, and when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Year of Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. That I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, to Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast from two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Oklahoma?
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Oh, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit. Slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
So those are some of the great shows here on the Shining Wizards Network. Nobody greater than us, though, really. I mean, we're just the best. We're the best. That's how it goes.
We were born for greatness.
We were born for greatness, greatness. We tried to use Final Countdown, but AW beat us to it. And it's not that we couldn't afford it. It's just we don't want to come across as copycats. It's bad enough we already have to deal with Bertie Danielson trying to steal her father from professional wrestling. But what a dynamite it was. No Danielson on this tonight. He's probably off digging clams or some shit. Okay, but we did have a hell of an episode with a hell of a match to start it off. We have a new, I almost said international champion, and Will Ospreay, or in MJF, formerly Will Ospreay here. Wasn't expecting a title change tonight, but once I saw that this was announced for tonight, I thought, maybe they're going to do a rematch at Wembley and give Will a big moment in Wembley. But this was a surprising one. Felt like it was headed to a time limit draw, which would also be cause for a rematch. But this one ended at like 59-57 after a weird ref bump, and MJF emerging with the victory. We get him pinning Ospreay after hitting him with the diamond ring. The fans live kind of sucked all night, but they were, I think, stunned by the result of this. I kind of like when FTR and Bullet Club Gold did this too, where it felt like they were headed toward a time limit draw and then someone just won really late. Like it just creates the picture that it takes that much time to actually beat a guy or those guys in that case. But an incredible match. This is one of those times where everybody forgets MJF is great at wrestling, and he's great at wrestling. Tons of injury selling in here that I thought was really great. The knee and the arm from Ospreay. We saw a Styles clash, and Crossroads get used in this, which were fun little homages to Cody. Tons and tons of fun. Will Ospreay's just a phenom. And I actually really liked the combination here of Aerial Assassin Will Ospreay with MJF's just like kind of really fundamentally American style based wrestling, heavily story told. The spot in the crowd was great with that little girl fan getting her shit in. That was awesome. Nice to have Max back as a full heel. Him emerging with the international title, pretty wild. But let's talk about the match first, and we'll talk about the implications of what this could mean for the road to Wembley. I'm going to go to Joe first. If you have any spots you want to call out, obviously you have free license to do so on this podcast. You and you alone have been granted transitive property of spot calling. So Brian, just like you gotta get a Claritin or something. You always have these like itches on your face, but this was a shock to me because I figured they were going to set up a rematch without a title change. Don't know if it happens at Wembley or somewhere else, but Will Ospreay certainly has a leg to stand on. Don't know how he was standing on either of his legs after doing this shit for an hour, but what a barn burner of a match. What did you think of just what we saw ring-wise, Joe? And also, how are you feeling about the results? And then we'll get into the booking implications.
Yeah, I think it lived up to being a pay-per-view main event quality match for an opener on Dynamite in Little Rock. I think once I saw the cards for tonight's Dynamite, I'm like, okay, this one's going to go 40 minutes or something because there weren't a lot of matches on the card. But and like to your point, just the differing styles of Ospreay and MJF really let us ride this peak and valley of the match of tempo and pace between the two of them. And maybe I wasn't expecting this kind of match. Maybe I think I might have been expecting more of setting up a rematch. So I wasn't expecting that everyone to go all out this time. And the ending
all out before all in.
Anyhow, the ending of the match. I wasn't sure. I looked at the clock and I know they were doing the whole countdown. Like, it had me question from just like, did they mean to do the full count? Was it supposed to be a draw? It kind of left, as a fan, it kind of left you kind of, unsure because we've seen so many times where sometimes things don't always go to plan and you still count 3 and just work from there. So,
you mean referees in AEW have been inconsistent? That's quite the accusation.
I'm looking at the clock, trying to time things, and it's like I wasn't sure. But as far as spots goes, a few of them that just caught my attention were MJF's. I think he kind of did like a backdrop stunner counter.
Yes.
I liked that. That was something different I haven't seen a whole lot of. And I really like the way he does his tombstone. I find it's a good, safe way of doing it.
It just has like a little extra stink on it. It's nasty looking, that tombstone.
You don't have to worry about necessarily like spiking a guy's head because he kind of leans forward a little bit more. So I appreciate that. And other than that, I just got really dizzy watching Ospreay as usual.
Crazy stuff. And before we go over to Ryan, unfortunately, I am curious. Are you getting a little sick of the Tiger Driver blue balls?
I don't know when he's going to do it. Because, the story is he's eventually going to do it. And I don't know if it will be a bigger deal if he does it as a face or if he continues not to do it until he goes heel and does it. So, I don't know. Unless he does it to a guy like MJF, I guess.
That's the thing, is that part interests me, but I am also, I feel like his other finishers are really impactful. So, like the idea of him using the hidden blade, like I buy that. Like I don't buy that doesn't put some away. Doing it to get his title back, doing it at Wembley makes sense, but that does also feel like It feels like he's making a point to say, I left the Don Callis family, so now I don't use this move because I do things the right way. And it feels like he just left the Don Callis family, so that's really quick to turn it around and do that. But Ryan, what did you think of this match? How many funs do you give it, most importantly? Because this was very high on the fun scale for me. And I feel like the ending went as planned because A, there was a ref bump, and B, the diamond ring. Like that feels calculated enough that was intentional. But I think because the crowd reaction was so weird and it did catch a lot of people off guard, I saw a lot of people saying what Joe said of having that initial reaction of, was this on purpose?
So it's a 4 out of 4 funner. An hour-long match could be a non 4 out of 4 funner. It's tough because it's just a lot going on. Hold on. I'll get there. There you go. It's a 4 out of 4 fun.
There it is.
But I won't lie. There are moments when you have an hour-long match. There are moments in the middle where you're at a 3. Sometimes you even hit a 2. Because they're just trying to do a lot at one time. But
the face on the 2, you look like you're on.
I couldn't remember which one it was, so I had to go to 3-2.
It's so you look under the influence of something or possessed, maybe. It's unbelievable. But I will say, whether you were being sincere or not in your points, hour-long matches are usually not super for me. The Danielson Hangman one was incredible. The Danielson MJF one was incredible. And Will Ospreay, I could watch, I think, wrestle for 100 hours in a row. Like he's just so ridiculous. So my expectations for this one were high, and I felt like they were surpassed even with them being high. But hour-long matches are a lot to ask your audience to buy into. Were there points of this match, Ryan, where you were like out of it?
Oh God, yeah. I can't tell you what happened because I was out of it. But overall, I loved it. It's just one of those things where you get into that like 30-minute mark halfway through, and you're like, because you hit 30 and the minute they hit 8:30, it's like, oh, this is going an hour. Like there was not even a question in my brain. This is going an hour. So I kind of started to fade a little bit there because I'm like, I know nothing for the next half hour matters. Next 20 minutes. We'll give you the last 10 to have some action. I liked the story of the match, which was MJF's old school approach versus Ospreay's newer flippy dippy approach, which they did seem to like have a lot of fun playing with. Ospreay would do reversals MJF wasn't expecting. Then MJF would cheat in ways that are very old school, like that hair pulling stuff from the beginning.
Yep.
Is a very old school heel tactic. So I really love that because even though MJF's young, he wrestles old school. So that was a lot of fun. I was shocked by the ending. I did not see MJF winning this, but I like it. I get what you're saying about the Tiger Driver blue balls. But, I've had to deal with it in life, so we can all suffer. But the thing about it is, I haven't seen the Tiger Driver yet, like you guys, so you can all suffer. But it's now cost him twice majorly. Like at first it wasn't really costing him, but now it has. He didn't win the world title, but even still he could kind of hold back because, well, I still have my title, and now he's lost it because of it. So I feel like that's just like, now there's this impetus to be like, look what's happened to you. You won't use it, and now you've lost everything.
If you don't use it, you lose it, as they say. And that's exactly what happened tonight. It's like he lost the title because he didn't use it, which I think is what is intended by the use of that phrase. But Ryan, this is interesting too, because it calls into question what's next. This feels like it's set up for a rematch, but I could also see Will Ospreay moving on, doing a match with Ricochet at Wembley, and MJF getting immediately into a feud with Daniel Garcia. Or I could see Garcia costing MJF at Wembley if they wanted to do a rematch, Ricochet walking out at the end of it for a huge moment or whatever. Like it does feel like there are several different directions they could go creatively for this. What do you think they do, and what do you want them to do? The chat also pointing out that Pac has been calling out for this international title as well. Is it a triple threat situation? Where do we go now? Because
where do we go? Where do we go? Wow. See, that's tough. You have a lot of different options.
Less spoons in the porridge, as the kids say.
I don't love the idea of throwing all the British people in one match, but there is something to be special. Something you said for the special moment if you had Ospreay versus Pac, just the two of them.
Because
And then
that's a great match, regardless of the fact that they're British. Like those
Yeah,
are just two of the best in the world with very different styles that match in aerial shit. That's pretty cool.
now I don't normally like 2LT Colonel photos suggesting a fatal 4-way. Not usually my favorite match. At a thing like Wembley makes sense where you get MJF, you get Ospreay, you get Pac, and you get Daniel Garcia. Like
That's
it
not
allows
bad.
you book the most people at one time. I like that there's options here, and all of them are reasonable, all of them are logical, and none of them will feel like they're out of the blue. And that's
Do they all feel like 4 out of 4 funds?
I can't see anything less than a 4 out of 4 fun for these 4 out of 4 opportunities.
I could see Ospreay winning it back at Wembley, Garcia and MJF having cost each other in some way, or the feud continuing between the two of them, title adjacent. And it does feel like Ricochet is a factor now because he's like so obviously on the way, and it's not as. I mean, it's still a hypothetical technically, I guess, but like we know his contract with WWE is done. And it's reported he's going to AEW at this point. So I feel like you're this close to Wembley, have him debut at Wembley. Him just coming out would be a really, really cool moment to meet Ospreay, and you can continue Garcia and MJF outside of a title picture. But Joe, booking implications all over the place with this now. What do you think is going to be happening on the way to Wembley? And also All Out is a week after that. Do you think there's they don't hot potato titles a lot anymore. So I feel like it would be kind of cool if they did that here. I wouldn't be mad about it.
I think I'd like to see MJF and Garcia all in, because I don't think you mentioned and bring that up or tease that match like they did initially without possibly doing it.
Sure.
And I think having the possibility of Garcia winning the belt against MJF in that spectacle would do so much more for him. Because I mean, Ospreay's a made guy already. He doesn't need to win the title back in his home country. He should go out there and have a banger of a match with Pac or with Ricochet, and I think that would be just as well. So I kind of where I want to go with it, but
I'm not mad about that at all. Not mad about that at all. I'm interested to see, because Ospreay has already faced Swerve and Danielson both once. Like him going back to that picture feels kind of inevitable. I'm just kind of bummed. Like this international title never goes international. I thought with Ospreay being in England, like maybe he'd be doing Rev Pro matches with it. Maybe he would be going to Uganda with it. But I guess I need to just accept that the international title is still mostly like a continental United States title and realistically. But I'm kind of with you. Like I would love to see the stakes transferred to the Danny Garcia and MJF side of things. That would be cool. So I am intrigued, but I thought the match was excellent. Like it's hard to keep attention for a full hour. They couldn't. For me, they had me most of the way. I would say the Danielson ones for me are just like a little bit stronger, but the stories were also so baked going into them with Hangman and MJF that I feel like we've had a good story with Will and MJF for sure too, but like the Danielson ones just felt like the hatred between Danielson and Hangman was so different and special, I feel like, and they hadn't done one yet at that point. So interesting stuff. They do these very well when they choose to do them. I'll say that. It's definitely not oversaturated. But I'll tell you what is oversaturated. Hey guys! Fucking sick of the learning tree. What are we doing? We get Big Bill, Brent, Keith, and Jericho for their TV time segment, but they are thankfully interrupted by Minoru Suzuki, who's holding a contract for a match at Blood and Guts. Minoru Suzuki faced Mike Skyros and then was like, get me off of the American Indies. These people are all jokes, is what I heard is what happened. Like Tony Khan was like, thanks so much for your work. We'll see you when the time is right. And Suzuki was like, I'm not facing clowns like Mike Skyriffs anymore. So he went back to AEW television. Blood and Guts is in a week. That's insane. Like this, from Forbidden Door season to the PLE to now, like the PLE. My God. Sorry, my Siri went off. That was weird.
PLE, Siri, I get it.
Pay-per-view. We have to shell out for those, okay? When I hear PLE, I think included. When I hear pay-per-view, I think we got to pay for those. But it's been a lot between Forbidden Door and here and Blood and Guts and Wembley. Like there's so much happening. So if I had Minoru Suzuki available to me as often as AEW does, I would not put him with Chris Jericho this often, especially with the success rate of matches he's in with Minoru Suzuki is like very slim. Like nobody is like the six mans. Like it's not good. It's not good. When your match is number 14 out of 14 on a card, maybe 13 because what the hell was Serpentico versus Kyle Fletcher? It's not great. It's not great. I would say Kyle Fletcher, great wrestler, and that Serpentico, he's better than John Cruz. I'll tell you that much. I love Minoru Suzuki. I have no interest in seeing him versus Chris Jericho. I have no interest in the learning tree. If we were going to rate this, it would be on my scale of this trash is not for me.
Hold on, I'm getting there. Oh, Joe beat me to it.
This garbage is not for me. I'm calling it now. I don't want to say zero funds because Minoru Suzuki beating the fuck out of someone at minimum feels like a fun and a half. Like at worst, but it's gonna be closer to my scale than Ryan's scale just in general, which is a shame. But 2 50-year-olds going at it on Blood and Guts. Ricky Starks isn't on my television though.
100 years of experience in a match. How could it be bad?
I mean, I'm sure I'll learn a ton from it, but
lots of a learning tree. I would hope so.
Ricky Starks is not on my television.
You know,
this is unacceptable.
I don't understand how one affects the other.
TV time.
Yeah, but you know, because Ricky could be part of the learning tree. Ricky could learn.
Oh, murder you where you stand. Since you just jumped in, Ryan, take it away with your thoughts on this incredible learning tree segment that nobody in the arena, the crowd sucked tonight, but man, when you do an hour match and you followed up with this, the crowd was like, can we go home now?
Two different arguments here. Whether you like this or not, this was the place to put it on the card because you needed to give people a chance to go to the bathroom and do something. So like there was some planning there, but
we were just elevated. So elevated. We need something to bring us back down.
I enjoyed this, of course. Chris Jericho's saying that people are getting hurt because they're not listening to him as if. What was that?
Sorry, my sister sent me a voice memo when I accidentally hit play instead of swiping it away. That was aggressive. Sorry.
Chris Jericho blaming people for not listening to him is why they're getting hurt and not his actions. It's just, love it. I also like that they were scared of Suzuki. Like they didn't want to attack him because he's so scary. I don't know, Kate. I just enjoy the silliness.
I had no idea that Minoru Suzuki was intimidating until they were scared of him. Thank God for that. But
you probably didn't.
How many funds?
I'll be fair tonight, okay? I'll be fair tonight for you, Kate. It's a 2 funner.
The thing is, I want it to be a 2 fun because this face is my favorite of the faces. Like I want things to be mediocre because the scale pops me so much. But Joe, did you have any idea that Minoru Suzuki was intimidating before the segment?
Yeah, actually, I'm Asian as well, so I just assumed that.
Oh yeah, you have the connectivity there. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how that works?
I think so.
Like, I know when all white people
wouldn't-
are intimidating.
Yep.
Okay.
Try figure it. Test it out. See if it works.
Is Kate intimidating? No, got it.
Is Brock Lesnar intimidating?
Mm-mm.
I think you got to get your white man.
That sword just makes me laugh too much.
Fair enough.
The only thing I had written down in my notes for this one was ultimate bathroom or chicken tender concession stand break.
My
Like
man.
I said.
So I'm like, it would be great if I thought that Minoru would have a chance to win the belt, but we all know how that's going to turn out.
God, it would be so awesome if he did. If Minoru Suzuki in 2024 was holding the FTW belt, that would be fucking incredible. Incredible.
Also, very disappointing in the crowd tonight because they really just did not know to sing his song at all.
Cousin Nina Ray, yeah, they were bad considering new market 250th episode. But I'm wondering if part of that was just your first match was an hour long. Like that definitely fucks with the pacing of things. But
also, this is a brand new town, Little Rock, Alaska, which is brand new. No one has ever.
Well, a new town for AEW to go in. It's not.
No. Based on the graphic that AEW put up, that I made sure I used because of it, and quoted, this thing took place in Little Rock, Alaska.
Right.
Oh.
Was using abbreviation A and K.
Yeah.
That you know what? No wonder they were quiet because they probably just found out they were getting this. There was some sort of mass confusion there, but their team has got to get a better proofreading, and that's coming from me.
Yeah, seriously.
But we move on to our TBS championship match between Miss Monet and Anybody But Britt was the open challenge here. Nyla Rose responding. Really nice touch to get Nyla worked into this episode, I thought. She's been before day one-er. She was at the first All-In. Very, very cool. We also had a backstage with the EVPs and Mercedes, who thanks them for banning Britt from the building, that she won't be interfering with this match. And Okada gets bashful and asks Matthew and Nicholas to ask Mercedes to do the CEO dance, which of course she does, and we will do right now. Thank you. And he's a little smitten with Miss Monet. Okada's got a little bit of crush. Monet changes it all, man. That's what's up. But just unbelievable how much Okada is crushing the character side of things. And I really liked this match. I have always felt like one of Mercedes' biggest strengths was playing into the size disadvantage when it's there. And she's small. She's small, but she knows how to work against bigger opponents. Like the people that have, and it's a criticism I have, I don't have it as harshly as some people, but my issue isn't with Riho that Rio's so small. My issue with Riho is she does a crossbody and I'm supposed to expect it to take down Chris Statlander, right? It's the move set of the small gal against a bigger gal that creates the issue for me. Mercedes has such a different move set of her submissions and the backstabber and all those things that it's really impressive how believable she can make it that someone of her stature can take on someone like Nyla. Nyla did great in this, sold her ass off. Nice to see her getting a rep here, but the end was a lot of fun because she goes to use the Lockjaw Rings of Saturn thing, which is always great. She has the glove on and everything. But Nyla does what used to be a complaint of Ant Money when he was around and several other people. Why doesn't the person who has a lockjaw locked in on them just bite down? And commentary explains that if you're a dentist, you know where the nerve is in someone's mouth that doesn't let you do that. But it doesn't work for Mercedes because she's not a dentist, so she wouldn't know where that is. So she just goes into the bank statement, or the crossface, which was very, she has a great one. It looks super intimidating. Nyla made it look great. You get Mercedes winning, and then you have Mercedes going to tear up a sign from a fan and the Stinger mask who we saw earlier. And the second we saw it, I said, oh, that's Britt. So Very obvious, but sometimes wrestling obvious can be kind of fun. And they brawl after this. I actually thought this match was a lot of fun. I was surprised how much I liked it, but Mercedes' ability to make her size work against bigger opponents is something I've always appreciated. But we'll go to Ryan first on this one. How many funds do you give it? And you can express the funds either in graphic or CEO things. Like if it's 4, you could do 4 CEO dances. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. 3 and 4 full funds. I thought maybe we were getting a half fund there, but we go 4 out of 4 funds for Mercedes and Nyla. This is a great time. This is a at minimum very fun. Do you have any thoughts beyond the fun scale dance?
I love Nyla, so there's that. And she's great when she wrestles heels because she's funny and she should be a babyface, and I keep saying that. I loved the explanation the commentary gave about why the lockjaw works for her. Like you said, works for Britt and no one else. Like that is such simple logic. I don't care if it makes sense or not. It works. All you have to do is throw a little bit in. I still think when you're pulling down someone's jaw, it's hard to bite, but that's a whole different story. And then you're right. Mercedes works bigger wrestlers than herself very well. She also, my issue, I don't want to trash Rio. I don't know why we're both, but it's relevant.
The easiest example because she's so tiny.
Yeah.
Like she just
but
is.
Like, the Riho issue is like you look at like Riho, Mercedes, Red Velvet, and the difference between the 3. And there's Riho, who's wildly over and very good, but there's her, and then there's Red Velvet and Mercedes. It's how you throw themselves at people. When Mercedes does a crossbody or when she does something, it's a launch. Like you're looking at a body just goes fit. Looks like it's going as fast as it can. With the times it works, it doesn't always work, but the times it does, it's like a launch. Red Velvet does something. It's a Darby Allin theory. Just launch your body at someone and see what happens. Riho doesn't do that. Hers are always a little bit slower, a little more controlled. That's why it doesn't look as good. You're like,
yeah, they're like too pretty almost. They're almost like too good. Yeah, like the execution of them is so clean.
I get Okada's crush. I do.
Sure,
I understand it. I just thought it was really funny too because it's so silly.
He's unreal. Like if you watched him be a serious babyface in New Japan for as long as you did, something that the company was built off of, like, and you told me he was going to AEW, I did not think comedic heel who calls people bitch and has a crush on Mercedes Moné would be like the next chapter for this guy. Like it is so funny.
I also think it's a good way to just buy time for him until you're ready to like launch him. Like he's got a belt, so he's super important and he's in the biggest group. But until you're right, like this is fun. But I also like using Mercedes with the EVPs because it's such a good way to establish who she is as a character. She's a heel. She's teamed up with the biggest jerks on the roster. So yeah, I think everything about this match was good, fun. I want to say fun, but now there's a fun scale. I'm over gonna fun it.
Well, it was good and fun, so you're not in the wrong there. But Ryan, you mentioned Mercedes being a heel in that segment with the top heels in the company. She also just has felt so comfortable in the ring as a heel. Like ever since she was kind of accidentally heel at Forbidden Door, and they just leaned into it so much. She was loving it. She's a wonderful face. She's a great heel. Like she just to me feels like she's meant to be a heel. She moves different in the ring when she is. Do you feel the same way? And what did you think of this match?
Back to me.
Did I say Ryan? I meant Joe.
Yeah, I was so confused. Hey, Joe.
No, I've had enough of Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm agreeing. I agree with you. She belongs as a heel. I know sometimes you have to switch up the character here and there, but like you said, her movements, her presentation, the way she delivers her promos, her in-ring style, it all just caters to being a heel so much better. It's a nice match against Nyla. You know, like you said, great match with working a bigger opponent. I would have liked to see her maybe do a little bit more stick and move quicker, but again, I like when she goes off the top rope and she uses her Meteora because you have a little bit more of a compact stature of your body going at someone instead of just doing a crossbody. You're at least kind of throwing like a wrecking ball at them. So I liked that part.
This is why Joe's allowed to call spots. That's a astute observation.
I like the fact that, you know, Nyla was able to get things in, show her personality more.
She was very verbal during this match, and it was very fun.
That's the size thing, the size differential. And I like the fact that Mercedes went and used the statement maker, or whatever she calls it, instead of trying to do her other finisher, since, you know, when it's a bigger opponent, that doesn't go well. So I'm glad she has the crossface.
Yeah, that finisher is so cool, but on bigger opponents, we saw it with Willow too. It's just a little bit tough to get people that are that much bigger than her up. But yeah, I loved Nyla yelling at Monet for trying to use the DDT. Like, a lot of fun to be had there. But we move on. The Acclaimed were shown asking Mark Briscoe and Swerve if they could join Team AEW. And I know that my counterpart, Alex Pulowski, is ranting about this on the Fightful show right now. And I am very tempted to join him. I hate this. I hate them being in this. I think it makes so little sense. I feel like Mansoor in 5 minutes did better than Max Caster has been doing for months at this point, this time last week. And they just don't feel like the fit for this thing. And it feels like they are just waffling, and that they have been for months. Not a fan, man. Not a fan of it. I will leave the floor open to whoever wants to jump in on that news, that it's going to be the Acclaimed joining Mark Briscoe and Swerve, and obviously Darby Allin, as we'll find out at the end of the episode, in this Blood and Guts match. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
I get Swerve. I don't get Mark Briscoe, and I get Darby Allin. On paper, and mind you, this is just on paper, I understand the Acclaimed because they're like a long-standing AEW team, but I just have no interest in them in this feud. That team has lost everyone's interest long ago. Just stop it. And it just, listen, this right now, Blood and Guts, the build for Blood and Guts is what we would consider no fun.
Wow. Wow.
What
And
has
no
the fun
fun
been?
from Ryan is, I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying, like, it's pretty bad if you are a
Yeah,
like, if you tilt into my scale, that's tough.
Like, all the individual segments the EVPs do, I like, and there's certain things that I like, but when but none of that do I consider part of the actual Blood and Guts story. Like, it doesn't feel connected. They feel like they're separate things.
And
I'm
FTR is back now, which is why I'm so confused. Like
they were the
FTR came
natural
back on
team.
Collision.
I'm really hoping though that Blood and Guts is a bloody fun time.
Oh, I can only.
Thank you for this, Joe. Thank you
I
so
got
much.
the level just being this guy.
I asked for it, I saw it, I had to use it tonight, and this was the only place I had.
I was
That's all I
talking
can
about
hope.
Wembley before.
Yeah, but this is actual blood.
That's a good point. That's a
And
very fair
I hope it is, but right now I'm the Acclaimed aren't it. I don't know why they don't understand that no one wants the Acclaimed versus the Elite. And mind you, I'm going to back up a couple steps, and then Joe, if you want to talk about it again, but this complaint has been building in my head for a few weeks, and I haven't established it. It's not just that people are bored of the Acclaim, which I know is most people's complaint. It's also there was zero build for this.
Correct.
Like the Acclaim decided to feud with the Elite for no reason.
Yeah, it was like just because contendership. like it was just because they won an eliminator match. Like, that's not a blood and guts thing.
But if you even remember, they only had the eliminator match because they came running out to save Christopher Daniels for no apparent reason.
For no reason at all, yeah.
And that's what I think is wrong about the whole thing. There's just they don't fit. They were thrown into this. They've tried to make them work with their eliminator match and all. And they won their eliminator match, which is even worse because it's like they should have lost and been cheated because then they would have had a reason to hate the Elite. They have nothing. They have no reason to be in this.
It's really weird. It's really weird, and it just feels like there's so many other better options that are sitting around. So I don't know. I've been out on it for a while. I've never been more out on it than I have in this moment right now. But Joe, anything you want to add?
Yeah, that was my nightmare realized when they made it official. And I thought maybe this is when Team AEW would get their win back after losing the last matchup against the Elite. But with this team, I don't see how they're going to win. And I know Mark Briscoe is a weird fit. I can give a slight pass just because
he's a maniac.
Yeah, and fits his personality. I get it. So I can give him a pass on that. But the Acclaimed do not fit a blood and guts match at all. So that didn't make sense to me. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. And I'm hoping something comes out of this match to help overshadow it, to propel the story a little bit further. And I don't know. I just don't know what they do with this.
It's tough too because it's like their big umbrella story that's going on right now. And I get that the Acclaimed have been there since the beginning, but it does not feel like they have the day one connection to all of this. Which is a bummer, but not as bad of a night as Brandon Cutler was having. Jack Perry beating the hell out of him backstage to prove to Darby Allin that didn't matter what Darby did last week. And then we're kind of just into our main event and the shenanigans that followed that were extremely predictable after. Oh no, my goodness, what am I saying? We have the Mariah May segment here. We have Mariah May coming out dressed as Toni Storm. Man, anytime they do one of these cosplays, I'm doing double takes out the yin yang. She comes out and she says that everybody saw this turn coming except for Toni Storm, which I don't think is true. But she says that Storm was so desperate for the stoplight that she wasn't catching on to it. And I don't know, this just didn't really hit for me. She did say that she waited for this moment because why beat the horse when you could take it out back and shoot it in front of as many people as possible, which I thought was a really good line. But there wasn't a lot of... It was such a heated moment at the end of last week, and we still have weeks to build to this. But I was just kind of expecting more clarity about why she did what she did when she did it and how long this had been going on. I feel like it's going to build out, but I wanted to know, has this been the plan from the beginning? Is this something that Mina Shirakawa planted in her ear over the course of the past couple of weeks? Is there a moment in their friendship where it turned from being authentic to Mariah May wanting to turn? What set it off, or was this always the case? And we just didn't get any of that tonight. It was so hot going out of last week. I was kind of expecting more, but we do have I think 6 weeks to build to the pay-per-view. So I think it's fine, but I don't know. If you come out dressed as Toni Storm, there's got to be something bigger than this, I feel like. But Joe, we'll start with you on this one. This dastardly Mariah May, man. How do you feel about what we got tonight?
Well, I was a little confused because initially, I think a segment or two before this, they played a little vignette of her and her doing a voiceover talking about, after the attack, and I thought that was going to be what they were going to play, and they weren't going to have her in ring. But then when she came out as Marvelous Mariah instead of Timeless Toni, I thought the cosplay was good. I get that she was, delivering the promo as Timeless in that pacing and that sound. But I think because of the slower pace of that, plus a quieter or dead crowd, they was
doing the fucking what chant? Yeah, get out of here, man.
That killed it for me. I thought she kind of alluded to the fact that it was always her plan to turn. Because when she said, no, it lasted longer than she thought it would, and she was surprised for that. So I assumed that it was a plan all along. But yeah, I think they could have gone with just the video package they played, and then do something in ring the following week, and have at Blood and Guts maybe have Tony come back and get a little bit of revenge or something.
Well, comeuppance for our deranged Hollywood starlet for sure. Ryan, I figured it was going to go in this direction. The timing of it just surprised me with Mariah and Tony, but I don't know. I think I also had very high expectations for this, but I was expecting a little bit more meat on the bone from tonight. What did you think of what we got from tonight, and where do you think we're going with it?
So a couple of things. We kind of blew past Jack Perry beating up Brandon Cutler, right? No, we didn't get there? I thought we went.
We talked about it. Pay attention, man. Kate was very on top of it.
I was very.
Yeah, but I don't think you guys gave it enough love is what I'm saying. Okay, so I was right. Kate mentioned
we
it,
didn't give it any funds or anything, but if you want to, feel free to
It was
jump
the
in.
best segment of the night.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just absolutely absurd and hilarious for Jack Perry to be like, "Oh, you beat up Brandon Cutler? Guess what? I don't care," and then beats him up simply for existing. Like that's wrestling comedy gold for me.
Okay, perfect. That's 4.5 funds in the Tokyo Dome, or
8 funds the Tokyo Dome.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I just think it's so funny to be like, "Oh, you
It is
beat
pretty
him up."
funny to take out the same guy that your opponent took out. Is like and that is objectively a very funny thing to do.
Thank you. I will say the crowd sucked all night. I'm not going to say they didn't. I do feel kind of bad for them for this segment because I would almost guarantee they had no idea that was Mariah May when she walked out.
No, but like this is her gimmick. At least has to be on your radar.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think like. Granted, they weren't actually cheering like it was Tony Storm, so maybe but I just feel like there was a lot of confusion of like what is happening. Like, is this Mariah May and we should be booing, or is this Tony Storm and we should be cheering?
Sure, but then she did the promo and they still sucked.
Oh yeah, no, they sucked the rest of it. Like,
to what chant it fucking pissed me off. Like that.
Well, the what chant is the stupidest thing in the world. I won't start what chanting, even though I'm being accused of stealing gimmicks in the chat by Scott George and Jesse Ozog and others. But I do think, and the reason I'm not going to steal is because I think it's the worst gimmick of all time. She actually handled it very well, though. Her pacing.
Yeah, she did very well with that for sure.
Because you basically have two choices. You either go faster and totally fuck it up, or you lean into it and just go at your pace. And then they almost get bored because they're like, "Oh, we're not wrecking your promo."
Yeah, they like gas themselves out like they're toddlers.
Yeah.
I saw Alexa Bliss do this, and I saw Piper Niven also do this to be like, "Inbred say what?" or whatever. that usually shuts them up too, or to be like dummies say what or whatever. That tends to work as well. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't hit for me as hard. But Brian, do you think this was the plan from the beginning? Do you think Mina planted a seed in her plan here and is now growing into fruition? Do you think there was a moment along the way that changed everything? What are your thoughts on the story kind of overall?
I'm with you in the sense that I think I would have liked more from Mariah tonight. Though I think I don't know. I actually don't know what they're going to make of her. I do think they should make it so she's a little unhinged, and that as much as she's trying to portray that she had this plan all along, that may not have been, like, I think they should play into that a little bit, that she's not as clever as she thinks she's crazy too. But yeah, I think Mina needs to play a role. I think that's the story I think they should tell, is basically like she was living in her la la land until Mina came around and flipped whatever crazy switch in her head to be like, "Oh, I need to attack Tony Storm."
I think that makes sense of like, it was all building, because the fact that love triangle ended peacefully can't be the end of that, right? Like that's got to continue.
Well, speak, bitch.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick, because that was fucking weird. But I will say, you can't do that as a commentator. Like, you can't call talent bitch. But part of Tony Schiavone's charm always is that he reacts along like a fan a lot of times. So I don't think it was ill-intending. And I think the reaction I think he was reacting to Mariah May from what we saw last week, but you can't do that, Tony Schiavone. You can't say "speak, bitch." Though I do think we should name the title of the episode that. Like, I know we do like blank and blank, but I feel like if we want to get views, the thing people are going to be looking up the most is.
Had I
"Speak, bitch."
known at the time I made this episode that was
No,
going to
of course.
happen,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
that's the one right there. What do you guys think? Do you think bitches should speak or should they get back in the kitchen?
Well, that's two different discussions. Because you can talk in the kitchen, but
It's true. That's a good point.
Tony has taken on the level of not only does he respond as a fan, he is the face fan. So he is responding as the face fan was. And what I like is he doesn't just make these kind of comments towards like Mariah May. He will call MJF terrible things. He will insult whoever. So, and bitch is the wrestling word. So
I did appreciate Excalibur following it up with we hear the B word enough around here, Tony.
yeah, so like I don't think this was, I think it was hilarious, and I think that's all it should be, because I don't think there was any malintent with it. I think he just basically responds as if the babyface fan, and the word bitch is the wrestling word.
I don't like it when Pat McAfee does stuff like that. I don't like it when Tony Schiavone does stuff like that. But I also don't think it's that big of a deal because of what it followed up on. Like, no commentator should probably be saying that in 2024, but at the same time, like, Mariah May busted somebody's face open with a shoe to end the show last week and did that to her.
Are you saying we can't call people bitches in 2024?
I'm saying commentators probably shouldn't call female talent bitches.
I mean, but if they're calling males, it's just fair. Everyone could be a bitch.
I mean, it's Okada's word.
Okay, now if you're going to go on gimmick infringement, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. It's not even a nuanced conversation beyond that because it's Okada's. But Joe, should bitches speak? Your thoughts?
It depends on which bitches they are, I guess.
It's a good point. That's a good point. This is a more nuanced conversation.
So I guess I will respond for Joe. Joe was about to lie about thinking bitches should speak. That's why his fire alarm went off. His pants are on fire. He's a liar, pants on fire.
Oh, story tracks. Story tracks.
So we're good.
Oh, okay. So you were only lying.
You're not going to investigate at all of what that was?
Yeah. Do you want to go check it out?
No, we're good. I can see throughout my whole place here. We're good.
Okay.
Do you smell smoke of any sort?
If I do, I don't want to smoke.
Do you know how to stop, drop, and roll just in case?
I know how to duck and cover.
Shut them down, open up shop.
So our main event, let's talk about that.
That's a Rough Riders roll.
We get Swerve and Okada in a non-title match, which normally if you have two champions fighting, I'm like, put your titles on the line.
Ending.
Bitches. But I will say two things. One, it's like the go home to blood and guts. So if two guys in the match want to face each other, I'm kind of more okay with not putting the titles on the line because the intent is different. It's to further a feud. And we also knew what the ending of this was going to be because it's a patented AEW ending. We need more Okada wrestling singles matches on AEW television in the rest of 2024. He's too fucking good. And Swerve is just, he needs to be a champion that wrestles in the main event. Like, it's very weird that they don't start and end shows with him. I don't know if there's rating math that indicates that he shouldn't. Like, I don't know that information. But champion should open and close the show, and he doesn't that often. He's got to be doing shit like this in main events of Dynamite, and I think your ratings will probably go up because this match was awesome. Nobody moves like Swerve, man. Like, I loved the Swerve stomp counter to the Rainmaker. That was scary. Like, it almost didn't go the right way, but it's a good counter. I really, really like it. And using the house call is like one of the best finishers in wrestling. I feel like this was just good. It was just a solid competitive match. I really liked it. People were on the right sides of things. Like, they were chanting for Swerve, which was good because I feel like the Ospreay feud was such a mix because it was face on face. This was good shit, man. I really liked a lot of it. And then, of course, we get the ending in a DQ, which kind of makes sense because we got blood and guts coming out, but the rest of the locker room spills out from the back, or at least the rest of the people that are going to be in this match, as is in any AEW go home to anything. So, Joe, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on this match? I was just glad to see Okada wrestling in singles action.
Yeah, on paper, great match. I mean, just the build of just advertising it, and about halfway through the match, I was really getting into it, and then we had shenanigans, which kind of derailed it. And I think being so predictable, I was in my head of, all right, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?
Sure, yeah, it kind of just hangs over your head the whole match.
So like, it kind of ruins the match a little bit for me in that sense. But I get why they do it, like you said, but I kind of wish that for this first time matchup, they wouldn't have wasted it on this type of match.
That's a very fair criticism. That's
Okada,
a very
like,
fair criticism.
Don't give them this dirty finish of a match when you could have easily had you could have put the Bucks versus the Acclaim for the titles in this match, right? And you could have beat the living hell out of the Acclaim and written them out of this storyline and found their tag team between now and Wednesday.
God bless. That would have been a much better idea.
Right.
That would have been a much better idea. Did you happen to see Okada's Instagram stories today?
I did not.
There was a really cool champion versus champion, Swerve versus Okada match where it's like the word Swerve, the word verse, or the letters VS are in the middle, and it has like champion, and then vertically it has Swerve and Okada. But over where it says champion by Swerve, Okada put bitch. I covered it up. I was in stitches. And yeah, I agree with you. There's better ways to go about it, and burning through this one right away maybe isn't the best idea. I get that it's also Dynamite 250, so you want to give people something to kind of get up about. But this build really did kind of fall off a cliff. It's a bummer because it just feels so obvious who's gonna win. But Ryan, we got a great match out of this, and the locker room, of course, spilling out from the back. Darby has a lot of fun with these. It feels like, I will say that, like, they're always predictable, but when Darby's in them, it just feels like that guy's like, I'm 100 pounds and I'm ready to fight. Let's go. But what did you think of the main event? I loved the match part of it.
Well, first, I got to say, ever since you said we need more Okada, all I've been singing in my head is, we need more Okada, yodel-ay-hoo. We need more Okada, yodel-ay-hoo. Anyway.
That one kind of slaps, though. I can't even be mad at that. That kind of slaps.
I mean, listen.
I need more allowance.
The beats are the best. But, yeah, so I'm with Joe on this. Like, the match was great. I can't criticize the match at all. But you do know there's going to be shenanigans and tomfoolery at the end. And when you're expecting hijinks, you're like, okay, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? What's up, Joe?
Give periodic alarms.
Okay. I could see Joe. He's like looking around. I'm like, uh-oh. But it didn't take like, even with that, the match was so good that I could enjoy it because they're that good at what they do. I would love to see them again in one with stakes where they're gonna have a winner instead of what this was, where you knew it wouldn't. You're right. Darby excels in these post-match scrums. He learned from Sting. This is where Sting thrived.
We did get Tony Schiavone with an "It's Darby" too, which was really sweet.
Yeah, I mean, he coming down on that. I watched Mark Briscoe unhook him from it. I'm like, and it looked like for a second he might struggle. I'm like, oh god, if he struggles, this is going to be so bad. Luckily, he didn't. He got it. But I forgot Darby was the fifth guy, which is really stupid. But I'm watching. Obviously, it's the standard wrestling trope of like, bad guy comes out to double team good guy, then other good guys come out to even the odds, then other bad guy comes out to throw him off again, whatever. And I'm like, all right, so the good guys have one. I wonder who the surprise return is going to be the fifth member. And then it was Darby. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot he existed.
Yep. He hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot outside of it. So
just beating up Brandon Cutler.
Yeah, just basically poor Brandon Cutler just having a rough week. But he didn't get put through an extremely real wall like Samoa Joe did. So I guess you take what you can get. Well, because we do have a couple minutes here. This was a much shorter episode for us. A couple of news and notes to recap from this past week because there's some good stuff. Let's start with the ROH news. I'll clump a couple of these together and we'll talk about it. But Fightful Select reported both the signing of Rachel Ellering, which is great news for their women's division, and also just a more general story about the fact that there's going to be a renewed focus on ROH. They have those Dallas tapings coming up. They have this pay-per-view coming up. Death Before Dishonor is next week. They have Rachel Ellering signed. They signed MXM, which is great. So some good news there. As someone that reviews it, I know I'm excited because I would like the products that I review to be good. That is my preference. If you're like, Kate, would you rather review something that's bad or good? I'm usually like, good wrestling wins. But I'm curious to people who have been watching probably more casually what your guys' thoughts are and your thoughts on Rachel Ellering. She's been doing some really cool work in the ROH side of things.
Go for it, Ryan.
Joe? You go, Joe.
Okay. And hopefully my fire alarms don't go off. I'm happy they finally have this like focus on ROH after years of just having it dangle out there, and that hopefully they find some time on TV for it someday. That'd be nice. But I think having some dedicated talent for it will help, I think, make storylines a little bit more consistent. And I think, adding Rachel Ellering to it was great. I think she's been doing a lot of good stuff everywhere she's gone. So I think, picking her up was good. And I'm glad that they're focused on it. And hopefully they're, whether it's someone else booking or, Tony gives up a little bit of control of that, that'd be great. So he can focus on other things.
Yeah, my dream is that they say stationary for more than this. And I feel like that cuts out the issue they run into of, hey, who's available that's going to not be on Collision? Throw them on this episode. I think that would force them to clean up a lot of the fundamentals that they've been ignoring. But Ryan, your thoughts on the renewed focus on ROH, and more importantly, since you love puns so much, Rachel Ring of Honor, official. A pun that I thought of that she liked, so I'm in on it.
I did see her like that, and I was proud of you.
Thank you.
She's awesome. I'm glad. I was annoyed when they didn't sign her when she was appearing on Dark for them regularly, and then they didn't sign her, and she wound up. I know she did a WWE an NXT tryout at one point, and then she
was signed at TNA. She
did. I know she did the whole trail. She did NXT and then TNA.
So the Deanna Purrazzo route. She took the same same deal.
But they have a very good top end of the card of their women's division, and I'm not saying Rachel couldn't be in that, but they also need a good middle, like people that they can use, and Rachel's at that level. The ROH thing is I'm cautiously optimistic. I enjoy ROH, but the studio shows are far better. What I would love to I understand that in theory these cost you money. They're just losing money because it's not on but one, I don't know how much they're losing you, because if you run a bunch of tapings at once, you're saving on a bunch of stuff. But two, you have a bunch of talent you're not using. And granted, yes, now you have to pay them to go wrestle and show up, but you sometimes need these talents to then fill in a role where someone's hurt or a storyline's falling. It's much better to have them in ROH where they're building up a fan base and getting over than just randomly throwing them in there and people being like, what are you doing? There's NXT up until this contract is for real, but the one they're on now, not the new one, NXT was obviously not a huge money maker for WWE, but they understood the point of having talent ready to step up when needed.
Well, and they also have their whole system, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's good to that, and there's bad to that. I think AEW could probably use a little bit more of that, to your point. I think that could be good, but
they don't have to go full school and stuff that WWE does, but have a place where you're bringing in people to work without being on Dynamite is huge.
And just getting reps, we've seen that over and over. Like Anna Jay is so much more consistent when she's just getting reps. But we're gonna close out. Joe is gonna go right now because he's got his apartment's on fire, so we're gonna let him tend to that. No need to panic; it's not really on fire, but he's got some batteries to change. It sounds
Pants
like
that are on fire. He's a liar.
over there. He's been doing a lot of lying on tonight's show, but we're gonna let him go. But follow him at _Asian Joe on social media. He's a great follow and a great fella. So we'll let him go take care of that. But Ryan and I are gonna stick around an extra minute just to remind you guys of a couple of things that you can do. You can leave a thumbs up on this video, which helps us quite a bit, and people finding us, which we appreciate. But you can also head over to Pro Wrestling Tees and get one of our Mark Order shirts. We are just 5.4 million away from being able to bring you guys Dynamite for free on this YouTube channel. So help us chip away at that 5.4 million goal before this negotiating window is over. But Ryan is also spearheading most of our social media. So I'm going to let him tell you where you can find him, where you can find the Mark Order, all sorts of good stuff. Ryan, plug away.
So one, I want to point out, you know how much it would hurt my soul to get that much money in an account that I have and then have to instantly put it back.
I mean, yeah, but
I
think of what we could do with our Dynamite distro.
True. Learning treat. Every segment. You can follow Joe at _Asian Joe on Twitter. He's got a serial blog that he links there, so go click that. You can follow me at Mark Order Pod on all our socials. It's a good old time. And then follow my history blog, hereforhistory.com. Back to you.
Oh, thank you so much. You can follow me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media. You can find me on Fightful Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday during your NXT, ROH, and SmackDown post shows. And on Fightful Select on Mondays, where we do our Sour Graps Raw review. Wednesdays, right here at the Mark Order. I also don't know if I'm going to be on the Death Before Dishonor or SmackDown post show. We're going to see what that schedule shakes out to be because they're both running next Friday. But SB3 will be on the ROH one there either way. So please support the good crew at Fightful over there. And also, Sean's going to get his ass kicked tomorrow by Effie. So if you can go support that match, and he always donates to charity with those. He doesn't want to make money wrestling, but he does like to take a few bumps on occasion and help out a good cause. And this one is an important one to him. You can go over to his Twitter account, but it's for dementia. And he recently lost a loved one to dementia, and it's a very, very painful experience to go through. So head over there and support Sean. People are definitely going to be weird enough on the internet about it. Someone already called him a bigot for posting like a Nickelback meme. So I don't know how that works, but hey.
They didn't like that photograph.
They did not. But it was of Jeff Jarrett smashing Effie over the head with a guitar. So pick a side. Are you guys Jeff Jarrett pervs or not? So head on over to Sean's Twitter. The link is there for you, and support him as he gets his butt kicked, and congratulate me because I think Effie's going to be my new boss this time tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week for our Blood and Guts episode of AEW Dynamite. We say goodbye and good night.